All right, everybody, welcome to the Hybrid Radio podcast on hybridradio.net. Thank you. And it's been a while since we did a show, and we're back, and I love doing these shows. I love the energy from the crowd, but most of all, I love drinking some beer. This audience is great, and not to mention this band is doing good too. All right, thank you, Stick With All. Thank you. All right, thank you very much. That's right, this is Jarrell, your host for the evening on the Hybrid Radio podcast, and I got my cold beer here, and we got some stuff to talk about after a couple weeks off, and with me is my wonderful co-host, who's just
Thank you.
Give it up for Drew, everybody. How you doing there?
I'm doing great. I'm drinking America. How can I do that poorly with that?
Yes. As you guys can hear, I mentioned some beer, but before I talk about the beer, let's talk about what the show is tonight. Tonight, we got some albums to review. We are going to do a little opposites of, we got a lot of, basically what I can say is we got a lot of mixture of genres today. And two of the albums we're going to review are very polarizing in their opposite sound and the audience that they drive in.
They're polarizing, all right.
Yeah, we're going to be reviewing the latest album from Fergie, who I'm sure you guys are all excited about that. Thank you.
Or, according to the album cover, Fry Edge.
Yeah, because it's spelled all weird. Fry Edge, yeah. We don't know how to read it right, but that album we're going to be reviewing because it's finally, she released her sophomore album after that long gap from the first one. Also, in the polar opposite of that, we're going to be reviewing the latest from Propagandhi. And they put out a new album. Of course, they're a very politically charged, like a punk rock band from Canada. So they got a lot to say about our politics.
Propagandhi, eh?
Yeah. And also, we finally going to get to that Foo Fighters review, which I'm happy to say I might be doing by myself. Actually, I'm not happy to say that, but you said that, Drew. You heard a couple of the songs earlier before we start recording.
Yeah. It was interesting.
Yes. So we're going to actually do that one last, unfortunately, you guys. We're going to move that to the end. And we got some news topics too. We're going to be talking about briefly if you want, Drew, we will or will not talk about the death of Tom Petty, cuz we were going to do that on our previous show, but now it's been like a couple weeks. I don't know if you want to get into that.
Well, I mean, is he dead or is he not dead? Because people were talking about how sad they were that he died hours before his death.
Yeah, he's definitely dead now. It just took a while. You know, they have to break the news immediately.
Are you sure?
I
wouldn't
get all
check conspiracy theory on this. I don't think he is dead.
Okay, we'll get into that if you want. But also, we're going to talk about some hilarity that happened at a concert in New York a couple weeks ago, which we'll get into that. And also, we're going to talk about the death of a very popular social media that me and you both grew up on that is going to be going away in a couple weeks.
Friendster.
Yes. Friendster is gone, man. Also, we're going to talk about, I forgot to ask you this in a second, but I'll ask you now. Do you watch trailers at all, Drew? Like movie trailers?
Sure.
Like have you seen the latest from the latest Star Wars and the latest Justice League trailer?
No, but mainly because I don't give a shit.
Oh, about either?
About either. I'm still going to see them. I'm overhype. I can't hype myself up about movies anymore because I'm too often disappointed or underwhelmed.
Would you like to watch them and then we'll continue?
Sure.
Okay. We'll be right back after this.
Okay, so...
See, that wasn't too long. We're back. So, Drew just watched the two trailers while we took a little break, and we're here. So, anyway, we're going to talk about that a little bit. But first, what I like to do is have some light conversation. Before we get into that, let's talk about the beer of tonight. Tonight's beer is sponsored by America, and that is by... the one and only Budweiser.
It's a rival. It's a upstart craft beer company, from what I understand. American beer.
Yes. Now you might be saying, Drew, that you're like, this. What's so special about this beer? Well, what makes this beer so special to me is because it was free. Because before I did this show,
makes all beer special.
Yeah. Before I was working today, when I got off of work, I was walking down the aisles and I saw $5 sitting on the ground, and people around were far enough away where it's too late. It is mine now. You know, you ever find money and you're just like, I'm not going to bother asking who it belongs to. It's yours. I'm like,
I've never asked. If I found a wallet, I wouldn't bother asking who it belonged to. I would take the ID out and drop it on the ground. I found
your ID, but the money's missing for some reason.
I would throw the ID away and pretend I didn't find it.
Yeah, so the most I've ever found was $20 on New Year's Eve, like years ago, at another job I work at still to this day, but I never find like the 100 and stuff like that. No one ever drops anything more than $1 normally. But when I saw 5, my eyes went grab that shit, and I'm like, well, the cheapest thing I can get is Budweiser. I'm not gonna buy some.
They didn't have any PBR where
they did.
You were shopping,
but it was. I felt like since they're charging the same as the Budweiser, I'm like, it's it would be wrong for me to pay that much for PBR, unless you're desperate at a concert, like you've done in the past.
I'm going on record as a fan of PBR. Okay. I know that's a controversial opinion.
Yeah, it is.
It's not a good beer by any stretch of the imagination.
So you saying you don't only drink it when you lose in beer pong? You actually want to drink it?
No, I actually do drink it, and it's because it's cheap, and it doesn't taste as bad as Budweiser.
Oh, well, I messed up on that. I'm sorry, but I thought if you reiterated that you loved it so much, I would have picked it for you.
Can you want to rank our favorite terrible beers?
We will do that. Yeah, sure.
I'm gonna go number 1 PBR. Mm. Number 2 Miller Lite.
Oh, Miller Lite's number 2. Okay, I agree with that.
Number 3 Miller High Life. Mm. And that's it.
Just stop right there.
I'll drink Budweiser if it's free. If I found $5 on the ground and they didn't have PBR, I would probably buy the Budweiser.
Okay,
too.
So you're not as mad as I thought.
And they didn't have Miller.
Yeah, they did have Miller. Everything was the same price at this place.
If it was Corona, though, I would just pocket the $5 and go, I don't know, do something else with it.
Yeah, the Corona, we wouldn't have beer.
Buy some lottery
tickets. The problem is I would have been out of $5, so I just said I'll take that money, buy some beer, and now here we are. So this is what we got the beer for the show. But never mind all that. Before we get into more about my job, because I have the interesting coworker I want to talk to you about, since we've dealt with coworkers like this in our past.
Oh, have we?
Yes. How was your time off since we last on the show? I mean, I know yesterday was Friday the 13th, so people either are being superstitious or watching blocks and blocks of the Friday the 13th movies on Sci-Fi. How'd you spend it?
I went to a night market. Mm-hmm. That was less a night market, more a dance party.
Okay, pants off, dance off, or no?
No, not that interesting.
Okay.
It was sold as kind of a flea market-esque. I think the word was foodie.
Foodie. Okay.
I was told that there would be tons of food there and lots of drinks, and we were out in about an hour.
But Chris Hansen was there instead. Oh my God, Chris Hansen!
And then he told me to take a seat, and I drank some water and ate some cookies.
I shot myself in the
head. No, but there was a terrible DJ, and all the lights were out, and there was lots of spinning lights, and there was a lounge area for some reason.
Yeah.
It was very nightclub-esque, and there wasn't a lot of food, and what food there was, it was overpriced and not that good. Well, that's what I did with Friday the 13th.
Yeah, Friday the 13th has become more of just a...
I should have stayed home.
Yeah, even though it was supposed to be a special one, because now it's October, Halloween's around the corner, Friday the 13th, so it's like...
What it really should have gone and gotten a $13 tattoo.
Oh wait, the $13 just that day alone?
Yeah,
you should have got a 31.
They do that.
They do, and then you put under. I asked for a 13. But I was gonna do that when that song came out. But then I thought to myself, that might be played out in years and years later. So I'm like, I didn't do it.
You should have done it, because here we are.
I know.
What is it, 20 years later, talking about it.
Still talk about that song. It's like the greatest achievement of the Offspring ever is that one song.
Maybe the only achievement.
Yeah. Still to this day, they have to make an achievement better than that. So I actually got to get my horror movie fix on, and I got the Chucky movie in my queue. I still got those Hellraiser movies that are in my queue too that I gotta start watching. First and second one anyway.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, because you don't have to start watching them if it's past the second one.
Yeah, I've seen bits of it when I was younger, but I want to catch up on those movies. But yeah, usually this time of year is the only time I'm really into watching horror movies, and because I'm so bad at it that when they show when I was watching American Horror Story, I get so bored with that show by December.
It's probably because it's not a good show.
Yeah, I give you that. Yeah,
there's not a whole lot of horror in American Horror Story.
It's more sex in it, which is gross. Ugh.
You girls.
I know, right? Naked Lady Gaga. Who wants to see that? So basically, my week is let's get into this. I have a new coworker at my job.
And that was a roundabout way of getting back into this topic.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm done with that. So we're going back to work now.
Fuck horror movies. Friday the 13th over.
Well, all right. We'll do that because the reason I was talking about that because Halloween's coming up and we're gonna have a Halloween show. But I figured I'll plug that at the end. So back to my coworker. At my job, I work at a retail convenience store, and that's all I'm gonna say about that. And I think my one coworker has Asperger's. And the reason I say that is because there's a new kid that works there.
He pulled some cheeseburgers out of his pants. Yeah. That's the first sign.
Like the most awkward kid I've ever seen. And he just, every time he talks to you, he's like, you'll be ringing the register and he'll be like, Jarrell, can I go to the bathroom? And I'm like, sure, dude, whatever. Okay, but he does that a lot. But the other issue is that every time he talks to you, he'll say like, he had an interesting story to me. He's like, Jarrell, did you see the movie It? And I was like, no, I haven't seen it yet. Oh, okay. And then like another customer came and talked to him, and then he's like, hey, Jarrell. I'm like, what? Remember when I asked you if you saw the movie It? And I was like, yeah, that was like 10 minutes ago. And he's like, oh yeah, I wanted to talk more about it, but then like a customer came up, so then I wasn't able to continue talking about it with you. But and you, as I'm saying this, Drew, you're saying, especially you're assuming I'm making this, just me staring at him blankly with my mouth open, like, what the fuck is happening? And then then eventually he'll abandon his story every time, like, never mind. And I'm like, all right, this guy's weird.
So either he's on the spectrum or he has a crush on you.
Yeah, he just doesn't know how to talk. But he does that with everybody. A customer will come up to him and be like, do you know where like the like something is? And he'll be like, oh, I don't know. And that's it.
To be fair, anybody who's worked retail has wanted to do that. Maybe he's just, there's nothing wrong with him and he's just playing it off. Like he's, not capable of doing this just so he can say things like that.
I'm getting to that. You might be on the right track, Drew, because
I can't count the number of times that I've wanted to say I don't know when somebody has asked me to find something in our old retail job.
Yeah, and then people will if he'll and then another guy came in and he's like, oh, and bought some like blunts. And he's like,
cigars, I think is the word you're looking for.
Well, they say, can you have any blunts? Got any Dutches? The person bought Dutches and left, and he's like, that guy, that's funny. He bought some like Dutches. I bet he's gonna put like the naughty stuff in there. Like, what is wrong with this kid?
So I guess we all knew that. That's the only reason to buy.
Right, but then it's like, okay, this kid, and everyone hates this kid because But I just find him so intriguing because...
That's what I don't understand, is when you have somebody with any sort of mental disability that you work with...
Right.
It's very difficult to hate them. I would think that you would feel maybe sorry for them at worst and find them interesting and want to know what their deal is at best, right?
At first, it's just like, I'm not going to even talk to this guy because he's just creeping me out because he's so weird, to the point where he goes to the bathroom so often. I'm like, either this guy is like, got a bad diarrhea problem or he's shooting up every second. Because it's really often he's like, can I go to the bathroom again? I left my soda in the car. Can I go get it? Goes get his soda, right? He says that, and he's gone for like 20 minutes, and then I'm like, he comes back, the manager's like, he's like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm like, what took you so long, dude? He's like, oh, my car, I had to walk all the way in my car. I'm like, yeah, they should have told you in the training that you should park by the building. He's like, yeah, that's right. I'm like, you didn't get that with sarcasm? I'm like, okay, wow. But what makes it weird is, here it is, Drew, every time people come in that live around the area, and like young people, cool kids, stuff like that, and they say, oh, hey, what's up? And they have a regular conversation like, oh, what are you doing this weekend? They're like, oh, I nothing. Like, let me give you your number, let's get on Facebook, let's hang out. So he's fucking popular, and I don't get it. Like, so obviously there's some kind of associate thing happening.
I do get it.
That's
as somebody that used to pretend to take a shit to get an extra break at work for 20 minutes and go read comics in the bathroom.
Yeah. Because
I hated my fucking job. And I was about to kill everybody, including you in there. This kid is going to the bathroom every half hour like clockwork because he knows that nobody's going to question him on this. He's a bullshit artist. Don't be taken in by this. There's nothing wrong with him. He's gaming the system, and you're jealous.
I got it. He's got to be, like I said, because Kevin Spacey thing happening. He's probably like, have a nice day, and leaves and starts walking.
He's the Kaiser Sosa of the retail game.
He starts walking on normally, pull out a big cigarette, like, fuck these guys, man. They don't know what the fuck's going on. Where's the weed at, motherfucker?
I think you need to learn a thing or two from this kid.
That's why I asked, like, is he working today? And they're like, no. I'm like, damn it, because the one thing I love about working with him is when it's me, him, and some other manager that just gets so irritated with him. It's just fucking. I just want to grab some popcorn and watch the fucking show, because they just get so mad, and it's just like, I need to work with you and him. It's just like, they'll make my fucking night. He even asked me, I'm like, you go to the bathroom a lot, dude? And he's like, yeah, it's because I have a lot of hair. I'm like,
hair?
I'm like, okay, that makes sense. And he's like, yeah, never mind. I'm like, wow. What the fuck is this wrong with this kid? But he's really playing the long con, I'll tell you that.
I think he's playing the con he needs to play at this point. I'm all about this kid. The
reason why I mentioned that, you guys out there, is because me and Drew, when we were working at the retail store at Suncoast, we had a pretty, which I thought he was retarded, but now I'm thinking maybe he was had some kind of autism.
He has some sort of learning disability.
Right. We worked with this guy, and what bothered me is when I got the job, like, and when he was working there, it makes me feel bad. It's like, damn, am I that bad that I'm working like with someone on that equal intelligent level? So when he walked in the door, I had been there a couple of days, and then once he spoke, and you hear his voice, you immediately know there's something wrong with him. And the same thing with this kid. So it's just like, the reason that I'm happy with this kid is, no matter how, every time the new kid that works in my job now, is everyone hates him, but it makes me look a lot better because, I'm basically the employee of the year compared to this guy, because it's like, well, we got Jarrell that does not give a shit about the job, will not smile for it, like, all the money in the world. Then we got this guy that, he barely talks on the intercom and walks away from the register and tells people flat out, I don't know where stuff is. Jarrell's better. So that's why I'm all happy about that. Thanks for indulging me, you guys. Before anything else you want to get into, Drew, before we get into like the trailer topic I wanted to talk about?
I'm good. I'm ready.
All right. So there seems to be like a little war going on, not just between like, North Korea and us eventually, but the DC Marvel war
to be coming soon.
Yeah, coming soon to
a country near you.
We got Marvel versus DC going on, and now it's bumped up not just with Marvel, but Disney versus DC in general, because Disney owns, not just Marvel but also Star Wars. And right when Justice League trailer came out like 6 days ago, it's funny because that mouse and fucking Disney just sat back and watched. Okay, you got something cute there. And then all of a sudden, let's drop this now. Push the button. Everyone's focused their attention away from Justice League and went to Star Wars trailer. So we're going to talk a little bit about the Justice League trailer first.
Are we going to talk? Are we putting them up against each other as two corporate giants that are currently at war?
Yeah.
Personally, I think that I'm sorry, not DC. Warner Brothers won this one.
Oh, really?
Of the two trailers, I find the Justice League trailer much more interesting.
Now, is it because you're not really into Star Wars and more into comic books?
No, I think it's because the main Star Wars movies, I've already seen them. They are called A New Hope,
right, and,
Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. Mm-hmm. This trailer seems kind of just like bits and pieces of Return of the Jedi and Empire Strikes Back put together. Which you probably saw the Force Awakens, right? Yeah.
Now, did you feel like that was
fine
retelling of
Yeah, there was nothing wrong with it. It was enjoyable. It was just too similar. It was just kind of A New Hope. And what kind of drove that home for me was when I saw Rogue One, and Rogue One was fucking awesome. Mm-hmm. And I think it's because it wasn't a Star Wars movie so much. It was kind of this war movie that had laser guns.
Yeah.
It wasn't shot like a Star Wars movie. It didn't use the same musical cues. It didn't feel like a Star Wars movie.
Okay.
But it was set in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I like the Star Wars Expanded Universe so much, is because it's Star Wars, but it's not Star Wars. It's not the same thing regurgitated over and over again. It's its own thing, while still retaining the general kind of feel of Star Wars.
Yeah, I think like honestly, we understood like even going back, which I'm gonna have to mention the prequels was doing the same thing of like retelling, having things happen that happened before. So I've gotten to the point where it's gonna always be that way. So
the problem with the prequels is, they weren't that good. I feel like that's what the new Star Wars movies has over the prequels, is they're at least like watchable 100%. Mm-hmm. There's no cringy moments. There's no moments that make me want to turn the movie off. It's just kind of a sameness. Yeah. Whereas with the prequels, they have that sameness, and they have some originality, and they have the cringy moments as well. Okay. And I think the prequels would be damn fine if you cut them down to about an hour and a half each. Yeah, well, I have my reservations, not much, about the first one, where I only like one scene, and I'll never watch it again. And the second one, I don't hate as much as everyone else does. And the third one, I've only watched once too. But they're kind of garbage just because there's so much garbage put into them. Right. If they weren't 2.5 hours long, they would be fine. Yeah, but what if we want to get to the Star Wars one real quick? For me, it kind of differs because, like, here's one thing. I think with the Star Wars trailers, they had a trailer for this new one, the Last Jedi, a couple months ago, and they needed the whole like ambiguous like cutscene, and it's over. They're fine. They don't have to do anything more nor promoting. It's good. You're gonna make the same amount of money. People are gonna see it if you just said Star Wars movie coming out, the end. And that's the end of the trailer and then people will go see it. This whole like let's do a second trailer, a third trailer. Other movies need to do that, but they do not need to do that. They're good. Yeah, you don't need to sell anybody on Star Wars, which is what I find so interesting about Star Wars fans, where they act like Star Wars is this like super nerdy like club. It's not, though. Everybody has grown up with these movies. Just because they don't dress up like stormtroopers at comic conventions doesn't mean that they haven't seen these movies a million times and can't quote them. Yeah, but there are people out there that don't give a shit, or even worse, even haven't even seen them. There are people that are right and people that are wrong. Yeah, it's just that's how life is. Now, having said that, I cannot deny that with this new trailer, once that girl unleashed when that sound of that lightsaber coming out, I fucking come every time. I watched that trailer about 3 times now. I feel a little like every time it happens. So they when Jarrell's on Pornhub, he immediately goes to the hentai lightsaber and the sci-fi porn. If it's got tentacles, if it's got aliens, if there's laser weapons going off. I still watch the what's his name, the Jabba the Hutt and Leia porn. I still watch that stuff. Yes, whoever's got that anyway. By the way, which is surprisingly like Trump and Melania at this point. Let's keep that political humor going, man. I love it. Other than that, I think like the Star Wars trailer was it still doesn't answer a lot of questions. And, like, how is Princess Leia in this one when I'm pretty sure she died last year? But I'm kidding. I know how that worked out. They must have shot it before her untimely death. No, it's actually... she's back from the dead. A lot more simple than that. They used a talisman to bring her back from the dead. Yeah, I forgot about that. Zombie Leia, I guess. I'm wondering what they're going to do with the character at the end of the movie, though. Did you want to drink? Like, were you kind of leaning towards the thing? No, I'm fine. Oh, okay. And then other than that, I thought the trailer was pretty good, but you're just kind of like, I don't give a shit. It's fine. I'll probably go see it. I have, because they're putting out Star Wars movies every year around the same time now. Yeah. I've kind of fallen into this this tradition of going to see Star Wars movies at Christmas. At the golden age again of Star Wars. Yeah. So it's like, what else are we gonna do? Yeah. Before it was like when we thought we were in the golden age, when you mentioned the prequels and they were bad, it was every May. Like, well, not every May. Every 3 years, I think, in May, and now it's just in December every year. I think we're in a better time now, which I don't know how long these. I think like it's ironic because we're not in a better time in every other way. Yeah. So segueing from that to the DC movie. Now, here's my opinion of that. Before Drew gives why he thinks the trailer is so great.
I think.
Oh, I didn't say all that.
I think Warner Brothers is fucking up the DC universe by trying to compete with Marvel. And I've been saying they should do their own thing and say, you know what? When they put out Iron Man 2008, we weren't on that level. We should just do what we want to do and let them do what they do. No, don't compete with them. It's too late.
I think Wonder Woman proved that. I think that this whole just mashing superheroes together and making this, universe that is, all the movies take place and like they just want it all and they want it right now.
Yeah.
Marvel, it took them years to build up to that.
Exactly.
And I think the only good thing that they're doing, and this is also the thing that everybody hates, was in Suicide Squad, Batman and I think the Flash and like a couple of others showed up, but like for minutes. Okay. And I thought that was kind of cool because in every Marvel movie, it's like, well, here's a standalone movie and a standalone movie and a standalone movie. And the whole time you're watching them, you're going, okay, so the world is in danger. Hydra has taken over S.H.I.E.L.D. Where the fuck is the Thunder God when you need him?
Yeah, but
where is the man in a fucking suit? And then there's like a throwaway line of dialogue in a later movie that explains, well, whatever. I like the fact that Batman shows up for 2 minutes and arrests the Joker or arrests Harley Quinn, and it's like, oh, this is the same universe.
Yeah. So you think they're getting that right then?
They're getting that right. I don't like the fact that for Batman versus Superman, which overall I kind of liked. It's basically three different movies that were jammed together.
I almost jumped over the table and strangled you, but I need you on this show. So.
I think overall it was good. I think there were huge mistakes with it.
Okay, so that kind of contradicts the previous sentence you said. But okay. That's what my second point was. I think they successfully, I saw... When I saw the Man vs. Steel movie, I was unimpressed, but I'm like, it's okay.
You mean Steel with Shaquille O'Neal?
Yeah, Man of Steel with Shaquille O'Neal. Is it called Man of Steel? You got me.
No, it was just Steel.
No, I'm talking about the other movie. Damn it, you messed me up.
Oh, okay.
Man of Steel I saw in 2013.
That movie's fantastic.
And I thought the movie was and I
felt the same way about Man of Steel. It was kind of boring.
So I was like, when they were showing the Comic-Con trailer of this Batman vs Superman movie, I'm like, this movie's gonna be so amazing. They're gonna make Batman, the Man of Steel movie, even better by how great this movie is going to be. And all they achieved was making Man of Steel a better movie because it's so bad.
I know. Well, here's you had your hopes too high.
I did.
That was the problem because I saw those trailers and I looked at it and I said, okay, so I don't understand what's happening.
You're not supposed to. It's similar to Star Wars.
No. You can get an idea of where the story's going. With Batman vs. Superman, it was, okay, are they fighting? Are they fighting this Lex Luthor? Are they fighting this other monster? How is Wonder Woman here all of a sudden? I could tell that it was going to be a narrative mess before I even saw it.
Well, I wasn't talking about the Wonder Woman trailer. I'm not talking about the first teaser trailer. The one in between, which was a year before it came out, was when I said it's gonna be amazing. Right. So I was wrong, and I hate this movie and anyone that says they like it. So going into this new one and also seeing Suicide Squad and saying, you know what, this wasn't as bad as Batman vs Superman, but maybe because I hate that movie so much, I'm giving everything else a pass. I think they're still fucking up by putting all these people in the movie. So when I saw my expectations for the movie is so low, similar to seeing Wonder Woman, that they can possibly...
Did you like Wonder Woman?
I did. I think Wonder Woman was the best DC new movie they've done so far, and that's not saying much because the movie's okay too.
That was what was good about it was just Wonder Woman. It was just a movie from beginning to end, and it was just a solid movie.
Yeah.
And
I wouldn't say solid. It's okay.
Yeah, but I mean, it was enjoyable.
Yeah.
It's maybe not quite Iron Man 1 enjoyable.
Right.
But it was still good.
Yeah.
What was great about it was essentially not what was great about it, but what I liked, one of the things I liked about it was that it was essentially just a flashback the whole movie. And it was like what I was talking about, where Batman shows up in the beginning, he's like, oh, hey, I found this picture. What's going on with that? And she's like, yes, let me tell you a story.
And that was like, I asked.
Because you can have these characters coexist and not just jam fucking everything in there. Like, you know, we were talking about before where you had read the comic that Batman vs Superman was based on, and I was like, what comic? Because it was based on like 4 comics.
Okay, I only read the end one.
Yeah, it was the Death of Superman. It was the Dark Knight Returns. It was like there was a few different stories that they jammed together, and that's why it was like it was just too much.
Yeah. So I'm thinking it
would have been great. You know what would have made it great if it was like a 6-hour miniseries.
Maybe
because they would have been able to get all these storylines to be cohesive and work together instead of just being like, oh well, now we're running over here. Oh well, there's other things happening.
You hear that, Warner Brothers? We're pitching you ideas right now. Because the way I see it right now, November comes around, Justice League will come out. It might be number 1, and people will scathingly criticize the shit out of it. A month later, when Star Wars comes out, no one will give a fuck about Justice League, and that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And what's going to be worse, we're basically telling you that putting too many characters in the movie is not working. If fucking Avengers 3 can put the Guardians of the Galaxy in that movie and still pull it off, I don't know what to fucking tell you guys anymore. So
I think that Justice League is going to be decent if they don't try to do too much stuff. This is Zack Snyder we're talking about, though, who basically got fired because he was trying to fucking pull these shenanigans.
Is he directing this one, or
he directed this one, but then he got fired afterwards?
I thought because his daughter was murdered or something that he quit. That's what I heard.
His daughter was murdered. I think she died. I don't think she was murdered.
Well, something murdered her. Maybe it was like cancer or a car crash or something. I don't know.
Murdered by a crash. Folks, we have tricked you into listening to this podcast. This is actually the new season of Serial. Who killed Zack Snyder's daughter? But no, so because this is clearly based on the first story arc of the Avengers comic from the New 52, where Darkseid's nerd alert show up and they try to take over the world, and the Avengers come together to fight them off. Yeah. If they just do that story from top to bottom and then that's it, it'll be great. If they have subplots and fucking shit that doesn't pay off and like all this other stuff, it'll be Batman versus Superman again. Okay, we'll see. That's a challenge for them right there. Here's another thing: the best scene in that entire comic was when Aquaman shows up and everybody's like, "Wait, you're kind of a lame superhero," and he's like, "Oh, really?" And then he talks some sharks into jumping out of the ocean and eating some of these people.
Sharknado style, okay.
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
Just DC. If you don't have great white sharks jump out of the ocean and eat the villains, your movie is going to fail. Marvel had a talking raccoon and a talking tree in a movie. You can have Aquaman use sharks to kill people. Yeah. It's fine. And in fact, just get weird with it. That's what the people want. They want weird.
And in fact, if you watch the end of the first Guardians of the Galaxy, they're going to have a fucking talking duck in that movie eventually.
I hope so. I love Howard the Duck.
If they can make Howard the Duck, relevant again, that'd be pretty amazing.
Which really wouldn't be hard. Put that shit on HBO or Showtime. Make it an ongoing thing where it's just like a comedy slash like crime show. Yeah, it would be amazing.
Yeah. I'm definitely down with that, guys. So, all right. So that was good talk, right, guys? Has been picking see, I like how we broaden the topics from not just music to like movies, and we got some. We'll bring in all the nerds. We'll bring in all the music fans.
This is now a pop culture podcast. Yes. Thanks. We've dumbed this shit down.
So all right, so let's get
another goddamn pop culture podcast.
Let's get into some news today. Now, where is that?
I feel like Kevin Smith right now.
Man, there you are. All right, so we're going to actually get to the sadder part of news later, but right now we'll talk about some more funnier things. Actually, Drew, you might like this story. Tomorrow, Marilyn Manson's going to pick up his tour again, starting in...
Did you see the video?
Yeah, he's going to be picking up his tour again in Grand Prairie, Texas, because as you guys may have not known, he had to cancel 9 of his shows after the New York City stage injury that Drew just hinted about.
Injury in air quotes, I think.
And what's ironic about that is he actually broke his ankle the night before that show in Pittsburgh. So Marilyn Manson is a trooper when it comes to shows until something like this happens. So what happened is Marilyn Manson was playing a show at Hammerstein Ballroom in New York City, and it happened like in the middle of his song "Sweet Dreams," probably about the beginning of that concert. Manson made his way towards the back of the stage where a prop featuring 2 giant pistols suddenly fell forward onto him. The video from the concert shows Manson gripping the prop before it comes crashing down. And I didn't mean to laugh at you, Manson. It's just I'm just reimagining the video in my head again. So after the stage crew lifted the prop back up, Manson laid on the ground for several minutes, and EMT workers also rushed to the backstage area as venue workers yelled, "Ice, ice,
baby."
Thank you. I don't know what that even means, but I guess he wanted ice because, his injuries was bad. The concert was canceled soon after, and there's a picture of him being actually
which is the funniest picture I think I've ever seen, because
he's all like gothed out, just laying in the stretcher, and he's got an expression on his face like, where the hell am I, But yeah, so he canceled 9 of his tour dates. That goes from Boston all the way to where is the last date? I forget. Boston to somewhere else. But they're going to reschedule those dates, so don't worry. If you guys have your tickets, you can either go to that show or get a refund if you can't go to the rescheduled date. Luckily, he didn't die, but I just thought about that. It was interesting that Drew, you told on the last podcast, his concerts are not that interesting anymore. He went to one.
Here's the interesting part. Okay, so I'm actually rewatching the video right now just to get all my facts straight.
Okay.
There's no way this guy broke an ankle with that thing falling on him. You see, it just tumbles right. It's clearly made of some sort of foam with, I guess, like some sort of light metal.
Yeah, but
like
it's really
a
heavy.
Metal scaffold. Is it heavy?
I don't.
Because one stagehand comes over and picks that shit up like it's nothing and just rolls it off, and it bounces off of him onto the stage and just bounces and rolls around. It doesn't look heavy at all.
Oh, so he wanted some publicity stunt to happen, huh?
I think it's publicity, and I think he used this as an excuse to cancel a tour because it wasn't selling well. This is conjecture, okay? I saw him a few years ago, and he was playing smaller venues. Mm-hmm. They were all kind of sold out or close to being sold out. This time he's playing bigger venues, and I don't know what the ticket sales were how the tickets were doing. It wouldn't surprise me if he just said, "Oh, this thing fell on me. Fuck it, I'm gonna fake an injury." And I'll reschedule, because you see the rescheduled ones. He was playing Hammerstein Ballroom to make up Hammerstein Ballroom. He's playing Starland.
Oh, that's a straight up. I remember that.
Starland. Okay, listen. I don't know the capacity of those two venues, but I've been to both. I'm almost certain Hammerstein Ballroom is significantly bigger than Starland. You would say so, right?
Well, they're both called ballrooms, so I'm not really sure. But I've never been to Hammerstein Ballroom.
I would say Hammerstein is bigger. I would think it was
you
closer.
Bet your left nut on that.
I would think so. My left nut is my favorite either, so I don't know how much that means. But this is my theory, and did he cancel the because he had a couple of festival dates.
Everything between that date and this one, he canceled.
He didn't cancel the festival dates though.
He canceled the one in. Are you talking about the one in Camden? That was like not him.
I think
by
he had
himself.
two festivals that he was doing.
The other one he canceled too.
All right. Well, that throws my conspiracy theory
off. I forgot
off
the name of the other one. But I didn't look it up on this one.
But the point is that the festival, the one festival, didn't get canceled.
Yeah. Okay. So you think that because the festival will draw more people and he's gonna show up
he's gonna make more money off of it.
Yeah. Well, if it depends when the date was. If that was the next day, I would be like, he's full of shit if you play that day and then cancel more. So I think like it could have happened. You don't think he broke his ankle the night before?
No.
Okay.
And even if he did, that's not really an excuse.
Yeah. I mean, if Fred Durst can break an ankle back in the day, he can.
Chino from Deftones broke an ankle recently, and he played. Granted, it wasn't that bad from what I understand. Dave Grohl broke an ankle. Axl Rose broke an ankle. None of them canceled dates, or if they canceled dates, it was that night and they were back on the road the next day.
Yeah, well,
Marilyn Manson doesn't have an excuse at that
Manson
point.
shows are more, enduring to the body, I think. So that's why.
I've heard that on message boards for news these news stories that I've seen. He does not put on the same show. People are thinking that he has the podium and the stilts and he's doing like crazy shit. No, he just plays the songs and that's it.
Oh, okay.
He didn't even have a stage set up when I saw him a few years ago. This shit with the guns or whatever, he didn't even have that shit.
Yeah.
It was just a plain stage. He didn't even have a backdrop. He didn't have scrims over the
amps.
amps
Fuck
or
about
anything.
Drew that night. He's like, I'm just gonna play.
He did not give a shit.
Yeah.
And he had costume changes though. The costume changes were ridiculous.
Yeah.
He played Sweet Dreams, and the lights went down, and he came out. And he had changed the microphone, and it had a knife. Oh no, a knife on the microphone was made out of a knife, and he was wearing a hood. Oh no, a black hood is so scary.
You see, that's what it is, man. Because now he's putting on better shows, and now he's hurting himself. So now he's gonna go back to those little pussy Drew shows that he was.
I don't know if these are better shows.
Well,
if you bring back the stilts and the weird medical devices and
yeah.
Until you do that, you can shut the fuck up about breaking an ankle. Get back out on the road.
All right. Well, I'm sorry, Marilyn Manson. I feel for you. At least those guns didn't kill you. Moving on.
Those very light foam guns.
Moving on. Something that did die actually is not yet, but December.
Marilyn Manson's dignity.
December 15th is going to be the death of AOL Instant Messenger. And I didn't pull up the story, but what I can recall is basically the reason that it's going down. It's been around for 20 years. People go on AOL, sign on and, dial up.
Well, people used to.
Yeah, they did that. And then when they do that, you open an instant messenger box. You could talk to people all over the world. And that was the first pretty much wave of social media for us. So everybody who was around in the 90s and 2000s know about AOL Instant Messenger. But the reason it's going away is because, Facebook and Twitter has taken over the years, and Apple has done all that in a way, and so now they never match the competition with the iPhones and all that stuff. So I just thought.
And here's the thing: have you used an AIM mobile app before?
I haven't used AIM since the turn of the century, honestly.
2002.
Yeah, I stopped using it, which is interesting because when MySpace came out, and this is where the point of the story is. I wanted to reminisce with you about that because I figured you're old enough to remember being on American Online, all night and telling your parents, "You knocked me off the modem," blah blah blah, when they pick up the phone. But luckily, my parents, they would pick up the phone and be like, so it wouldn't kick me off. But when I lived with my parents, anyway, that was I moved out about a month ago. So anyway,
He's barely making ends meet.
Yeah, what I remember most about
pray for Jarrell.
Most about when MySpace came out, I tried it. I'm like, this fucking sucks. No one will talk to me unless they actually see my picture. This is bullshit. Because I remember back in the day,
I can't catfish people on this new social media. This is terrible.
I know.
How am I gonna kill unsuspecting children now?
Yeah, because I was in college when I was on American Online, and when I discovered that you just go to the members directory, you can type in female ska, and then only show me people online, and you put your area, and it'll show me all the people that are online at that exact moment. All you gotta do is just type in, "Hey, I'm from your area. I like ska music too. You want to chat?" Sure, and then we're talking.
ASL.
Yeah, A/SSL, and then you talk. But and then it's all right, we talked a few days. Let me get your phone number. And then I get their phone number, and then we talk on the phone a few days. And it's all right, let's meet at the mall. It's a safe place because, this was before Chris Hansen and stuff, but people were still afraid of that. So it was kind of earlier. Meet at the mall. And
I think the Chris Hansen stuff was a reaction.
Yeah, Chris Hansen fucked everything up too. So then after that, I meet them about 3 weeks later, and then I'm at their house with their parents not home in some undisclosed rural town, just banging out these girls, and it's just man, I had to go back home, and how you can change the icon, what it says. I changed it from America Online to Bitch Locator, and then anytime I wanted to find I was in the mood for a girl. So America Online was great back in the day, especially Instant Messenger. But then something happened, and then now I need to put your picture. I don't know. Even though you live in the same town as me, I don't want to have anything more than that. So I kind of miss that of America Online. Instant Messenger at that point.
I don't like meeting new people.
So what did you use it for?
I used it, when I was younger. When I got a little older, I didn't really need to use it. I used it like how you were saying, we're just talking to people online all day. Me personally, I was really into punk or not punk, but like hardcore and metal.
You could type that in too. Female hardcore
metal. I would go talk to people on message boards, and then eventually it would be, you would find people that you found interesting, and then you'd give them your AIM, and then you would talk to them on that, and that was what I used it for. What killed it for me was cell phones. Even before I had a smartphone, the AIM app was always fucking terrible. It was never integrated very well. And so instead of giving people my AIM name, I would start giving them my phone number,
Yeah. To text you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at that point, I wasn't on message boards as much. It was usually like people I met in real life, and
that's weird.
Yeah,
talking to people in real life.
I didn't really care for it. There was a lot of sun and light. But one text messaging kind of killed AIM for me. And the last time I used AIM was about 7 years ago. When I was on doing like online dating, and I was on Plenty of Fish, and
you were catfishing then, not just me.
Oh no, I wasn't catfishing.
Okay.
I was occasionally being catfished.
Yeah. I just missed the days of when you would you wouldn't know what they look like, so they would ask, "Do you have a picture?" You're like, "Nope." Like, "Do you have a scanner?" Like,
that's
nope.
what I disagree with that, because I think we're coming at this from different angles. I think you were the one being shady, and I was the one getting shady people talking to me.
Yeah, but then you go to the mall and then you see their picture. You see them coming. Like, are you such and such? And you have to make a decision. Do I just keep walking or do I just give in to it? So I had a couple of duds. A few times, but I went with it. I was never like an asshole where like if I saw you and you were like huge and then you describe yourself, I was like, fuck that. Most of the time because I was all the way in a different state and I couldn't like just get back on the Greyhound and take it back home. But yeah, that's right. I took the Greyhound to meet some girls, but that's before I realized like, you know what? I should type in the town I'm in and that'd be a lot easier. So you only talk to people from different like areas. You never talk to locals?
Yeah, I talk with locals, but not since like high school. Yeah,
because that's what once I realized that you could type that in, I just never talked to anybody that wasn't in the same city as me. It's because it was easier to meet them in person, because that was really the point of it, getting my dick wet. But that was,
me too. But that was mainly because the Plenty of Fish Messenger really sucked, so I'd give out my AIM instead. Yeah, there was a few years where I didn't use AIM from like 2008 to 2010. Yeah, and then once I started online dating, that's when I started using AIM again. Then once I met my girlfriend, I stopped using AIM. I haven't used it since.
So your fiance now?
Yeah.
So online dating.
And who knows? Maybe that won't work out, and I can't use AIM anymore because it's fucking gone.
Yeah, and then you can't go on Facebook because that's even worse than MySpace was. So people are more stuck up on that.
The problem, my problem with Facebook though is with AIM you can go away, like you can just sign out.
Yeah.
With Facebook, I don't know what I'm doing. I feel with the new app that they put out where it's like the two are separate, maybe I'm just like not good with technology, but I feel like I'm always getting messages from people and I'm like, how am I getting this? I'm not signed in right now.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't care for that. I feel like every time I'm on Facebook, just dicking around and stalking people, then I get messages from people like, "Oh, hey, what you doing?" I'm like, not fucking talking to you. That's what I'm doing. I'm trying to fuck around on Facebook.
Yeah. So it's like, do you remember the buddy list? You still remember your buddy lists?
I don't remember who was on it.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah, all those like crazy screen names people had, like
oh god,
something like you're
I had some
into,
pretty bad ones,
and some number at the end.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's
69, 420.
Yeah, I'm so edgy. And then when they go away, turn into parentheses, and you hit a door open and close. It's just, I kind of miss it a little bit, but let's
be honest, you haven't used it in a long time.
Yeah, so when I read that it's going away, but we still got like a month and a half to get back on.
It's sad, but it's kind of not.
Yeah.
We did this. We killed it.
You did this.
Because other better things came along.
Yeah, so it's our technology will kill everything every time. So, I don't know. So that would be the end of that story. And before we get to what everyone wants to hear, some album reviews, do you want to talk about like Ralphie May or, Tom Petty at all? Did it affect your life when they passed away? Well, Ralph May, I never found him too funny.
He was never particularly funny.
But it sucks. It sucks he's gone, but because he seemed like a cool dude. We're talking about the comedian that passed away this month, and I don't know from what. Maybe a heart attack, stuff like that.
Probably being super fat.
Yeah,
would be my guess.
So Mr. Fluffy, you better watch out, man. Death's knocking on your door.
Somebody get Gabriel Iglesias to the doctor immediately.
Right now.
We need to get his diabetes under control.
I told the same thing when Chris Cornell died. Everyone keep your eye on Eddie Vedder, because he's the only one left. And then as for Tom Petty,
I never really got Tom Petty.
I liked a few songs by him.
He's fine, but he's kind of like Bob Dylan, where it's like, I get it, but I don't get it.
Bob Dylan I like, and a lot of songs from Tom Petty, sound like, more poppy or Bob Dylan songs and not as, out there and politically charged, but, or government, anti-government charged, but.
He was kind of just like a folk singer, and it's like, it's fine, and whatever.
He smoked weed and stuff like that, so it was kind of like, that's cool. But I know him more from being Lucky on the guy Lucky from the King of the Hill, that TV show when he was.
That's right.
Luann's boyfriend, and it looked just like him, the cartoon character they drew. So I liked him from that show, and of course when he played a mortician trying to bang Kim Basinger in that Last Dance with Mary Jane video, So that was that edgy Tom Petty, But he passed away. Actually, from a heart attack, he went to cardiac arrest on that Monday.
Or did he?
And basically, he had no brain activity for a while, so they had to take him off the plug, and it took him a while to die. So it's interesting what Drew's saying is that the news broke the story that he was dead. Then they're like, oh no, actually he's just on life support. We're sorry. Now he's dead.
I saw a tweet about that that I think summed the whole situation up pretty well. Was somebody said, I don't know if Tom Petty is dead or not, but I do know that journalism is.
Nice. That's funny. All right. How you doing, man? You got to do the bathroom? All right, I'll entertain the people while he's gone. So, while Drew takes himself a leak here, let me just say that we are going to be doing a Halloween podcast in a couple weeks, because that's actually Drew's favorite time of year. And what I decided would be a good idea is what we'll do is we'll talk about some horror movies and some of our favorite Halloweens. And also we're going to let him do a ranking of the best Halloween movies, with Mike Myers, and telling us what his favorite ones are, or least favorite, all the way to his best favorite movies. So he can talk about that as well. And also I will be reviewing some very sinister music because it's the day of our Dark Lord. So I think what we're going to be doing is all metal that day. So I think, speaking of Marilyn Manson earlier, we're going to have to talk about his new album that came out, if it lives up to expectations, or does it fall down similar to two prosthetic guns on his poor innocent body. Also, we are going to talk about the latest album from August Burns Red. And, I see Drew's back. Of course, Halloween will not be complete without talking about the latest album from what's Cradle of Filth, because they're extreme metal, and that would be great. There he is, yes.
Lovecraftian things!
I can't wait for that show.
As a sample from the new Cradle of Filth.
Yeah, so I can't wait for that. We'll do that show in a couple weeks, and we'll hopefully have that up for you before the 31st of this month. So Drew is back, so now we can actually talk about other music. So we're going to get some album reviews right now. You guys ready for some albums? I'm ready for some more beer. Okay, thank you. So first up, we're going to do a one side and then polar opposite of the other. We're going to start with the band Propagandhi and their album Victory Lap. They are a hardcore punk band from Winnipeg, Canada, eh? And they formed in 1986 by founding member, singer, guitarist Chris Hanna and drummer George Samolsky. And originally as a three-piece, the group gained a following through releasing several demos as well as touring through Canada and the U.S. Then after opening for No Effects in 1992, singer Fat Mike signed Propagandhi to his independent label Fat Records, and they released their critically acclaimed debut album, How to Clean Everything, the following year. Then the group went through a few bass players before Todd Kowalski joined in 1997. And by the third album, Today's Empire, Tomorrow's Ashes, they began adding melodic hardcore and some heavy metal to their sound. And then 2009's album, Supporting Cast, saw the addition of second guitarist Dave Goulias, making Propaganda a four-piece band, sorry. Also, the album was released on their own label, Small Man Records, which marked the end of their relationship with Fat Records. And this album we're going to talk about right now, Victory Lap, is the band's seventh record, and it's released through Epitaph Records. Now, I don't know, you know this band, Drew, I'm sure you do.
This is the first Propagandhi album I ever listened to from start to finish.
But you know that they are a very vocalizing against sexism, racism, like organized religion and animal abuse. But also, over the years, the lyrics have become more political and leaning towards, the leftist anarchist movement in their cause. So, what's interesting about that, Chris's vocals or his views have become so radical, even for Fat Mike himself, to the point where Chris openly criticizes Fat Mike for his support of John Kerry, both in interviews and on record. So maybe that's the reason why they are no longer on Fat Records. So if you're a band that is too leftist for even No Effects, that's saying something right there.
Is No Effects really leftist though?
They were
just because they don't like George Bush and they criticize Bible thumpers. I mean,
is that left enough, or you could go more left?
I feel like you could go way more left,
which this band that we're talking about did. So Drew said he only heard this album all the way through. I've only heard the first album and the third album before this one. And so I'm aware of the evolution of their sound and lyrics, despite being in Canada. I'm always interested to hear their outlook on U.S., views and stuff like that, current U.S. issues. And honestly, this album continues that same American commentary, if you will, I think. So as usual, Chris's lyrics are both poetic and referential to historical events and people like Kwang Dunk, the guy that lit himself on fire. I think that's how you say his name. It's on the cover of the Rage Against the Machine album, and also the Battle of Arnhem. But he also references issues like police brutality and the Occupy Wall Street movement. All that in the title track alone.
Only about 6 years too late on Occupy.
Okay, yeah. So in the title track alone, he's talking about that. That's a thrashy punk tune that opens the album up. It pretty much sets the tone for the tracks to come. So how did the album how did it start off for you, or in any way? How did you like it? What would you say? Should I say
overall? I thought it was pretty good. I wish I actually had. I wish I had more to say about it. Other than track 3 being a little too melodic, for my taste, I thought it was overall a pretty solid album.
That's the one that's about the cops, right? What's that third one song?
Good question.
I think
probably should have written this down.
It's all right. I think this third song is called Cop Out or something like that. But one of my favorite songs on the album is a song called Letters to a Young Anus. And this is an extremely pessimistic song where Chris is warning the youth that the society is no place for a free-minded thinker, and to be careful how much you reveal, was what he exactly says. And plus, that the music on there is that old school fast punk rock Propagandhi that I'm used to them and I'm known for hearing about them. The song Lower Order, I want to talk about that, is it slows things down, which is I think what you're saying. You don't like when they slow it down. You like when it's heavier. That song actually is a lot of a clean melodic guitar strumming during the verse before going into a mid-level hard rock instrumentation for that chorus, so to speak. And here the band is fulfilling their animal rights quota, song. They have to do one of those songs on their albums, and that's the song right there. The song I want to also is called, how do you say that word? Negrado, I think the name of that song. That one was a little more post-hardcore sound, which is the most experimental track you'll hear on this album, considering all the tempo changes and the different time signatures.
That's what I was most surprised about, because I had friends that were fans of Propagandhi before.
Yeah.
And I've heard a song here or there. I always kind of viewed them as kind of along the lines of like a NoFX or something, and I was kind of surprised at how technical the album was.
Yeah.
And how metallic it was.
Yeah, that's what's interesting about how they went from that to so you're hearing their newer stuff, but you had your mindset on the way they used to sound. Yeah. So that song I mentioned is in the middle of the song is all those change up, and I thought that was the most diverse thing you hear in the record. But I got my complaints. I want to say I'm saying all these good things, and I don't know if you Drew said that he doesn't like when the third track when they get all soft, and what I don't like is the band broadens their sound so much on their songs is that lacks the intensity and drive of the previous material, like we're saying.
Exactly. Yeah. I think that's the problem.
I think the album really shines in the lyrics, which is why I implore everyone to read along when they're listening. So that's what
that was my biggest problem, and I kind of wish I had the lyrics when I was listening to it, because I could get kind of a gist of what they were trying to say, but I couldn't really understand them well enough.
Yeah, so that's my point. Is when you listen to the first album, even though it sounds is more basic, and that's not even saying that because they're really like complex on that, but you can clearly hear them saying "fuck religion" over and over on their reggae songs. You can hear them clearly saying, fuck the flag and this and that. And now it's just like you get a bit and piece here and there, but you don't know what the really song's about unless you read it.
Which there's nothing wrong with that, but
yeah,
I feel like I could have done more research.
Yeah. Like, I think that's what's better. Like, if you read along to it, you get songs where he's talking about, like, one interesting song is like I think it's in Spanish or something like that. It's like in Flagre Delico, and it talks about how the attraction and sexual desire of a man fades away immediately after a man orgasms, and plus the current presidential talk about pussy grabbing and promise of building a wall is referenced on this album too. And one of my other criticisms on the album, if I want to say lyrically what I want to complain about, is one song that I think Drew mentioned called "Cop Just Out of Frame" seems to support protesting, while the song like "Comply Resist" seems to suggest resistance is futile. So I'm like, Chris, what should we do? Tell me what to do.
I think you're going back and forth. I think those are the same thoughts, that you have to resist, but you're gonna get the shit beaten out of you by fascists.
Yeah. So what do we do? Do we resist or do we rebel? Like, I don't know what are you telling me to do, Chris?
Well, I mean,
direct me.
In this day and age, it doesn't matter what you do. You could just be standing there and. You will get beaten down by a cop while he yells "Stop resisting" as you have your hands in the air. Okay. Well, thank you. So I got to change my rating now. It's praise this greatest record ever. No, go. I'm serious. Go. You want to say anything more, Drew, about it? Since you said you didn't have much to say, I'm sorry. No, I think that's it. I think you covered pretty much everything I wanted to say.
Sorry, I stole all your lines, man. But I guess I'll give my rating first, and if you want to go after me,
sure.
So as much as I have to admit Drew is right, the first Propagandhi album sounds a lot like NoFX, a lot,
which isn't a good thing in my opinion.
But the fast-paced like punk rock with like the harsh lyrics made up for it to me. Not that there isn't anything punk on this album. There's punk metal, but you can slam dance to on here. But some of the songs I had a hard time holding my attention. So thank God for these lyrics, man. The lyrics are just, phenomenal. So read along, but I'm going to say you guys just check it out, download it. It's an okay record, and see where you want to go from there.
I'm going to give it a buy it.
Oh, wow.
If for no other reason than you get a lyric sheet with it, and then you can absorb the album. This is one I plan on revisiting at some point, along with the rest of the Propagandhi discography, just to get a better understanding of who they are and what they have to offer. It's I enjoyed it for what it was, and I can see myself,
that's interesting.
Going back into it, I have it saved on my Spotify. Yeah. So one of these days, when I don't know what to listen to, I'm going to go to my artist section and go, you know what? We're going to take a look at that one.
That's awesome, man. So you do say buy this thing. You're going
All
right. So that's cool. So if you heard this new Propagandhi album, let us know what you think in the comment section, or send us a lengthy review and tell us what you think of it in our emails, and we love to know your opinion. And I'm actually really happy to hear that.
And you know what else? I think that this is an album, and I only listened to it a couple times, but I think it's an album that's kind of a more of a grower, not a shower, if you will.
Yeah.
I think it's something that you're going to get more into, and you're going to understand all the nuances as you listen to it more and more.
Yeah, I think that's what happened after my third listen to it.
I think that's why I don't have a lot to say about it, because I think I need to listen to it more.
Okay, that's a good point. Yeah, I listened to the album 3 times, and I thought to myself, now that I know what I'm expecting, it's kind of like I'm still not going to go higher, because I do find, like I said earlier, like there's parts in the middle or certain songs I'm just like not even
some of the tracks,
paying attention to it. So yeah, so that's my rating on that. So now to switch gears completely,
the elephant in the room.
Yes, let's go from one band that's really got something to say to another artist that
There's
might
nothing
not have
to
much.
say at all.
We're talking about the new Fergie album, Double Dutches. Now, who don't know who she is, she's a singer and occasional actress who's known for...
That's being generous.
I'm talking about the Planet Terror. She killed it in that movie. Or they killed
I
her.
forgot about that.
So
all right, she has one redeeming quality.
So she's a female vocalist for the hip hop turned generic EDM group Black Eyed Peas, and in 2006 she released her debut solo album, The Duchess, and that album featured that album reached number 2 on the Billboard 200 and went 5 times platinum, thanks to singles
Jesus
like
Christ.
you gotta complain. Thanks to songs like Fergalicious and London Bridges, that album 5 times platinum, and I guess the bane in your existence that year.
Was that song My Humps on that album too?
No, that's Black Eyed Peas.
Oh, all right.
All right, but Fergie continued releasing her music with the Black Eyed Peas and toured until 2011, and then by 2013 she hinted on a second album, and she even began releasing some tracks that followed in the years. And now, finally, after over 10 fucking years,
Long awaited.
we are getting the new Fergie album that we've been waiting for. Finally.
Yearning.
Yes, but considering that she's been busy co-hosting the New Year's Eve events and married to that dude from the Transformer movies, we can understand her delay. She's been busy.
She married Arnold Schwarzenegger?
The guy from the Transformers movies.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Transformers, not...
Oh, Terminator.
Yeah, you're mixing the movies up. What's the guy?
Shia LaBeouf?
Josh something. The
Michael Bay.
Yeah, sure. We'll go with that. Similar to her first album, some tracks on Double Dutches were produced by Black Eyed Peas member will.i.am and rapper/producer Paulo the Don.
Paulo the Don.
This album also features some guest artists like Rick Ross and Nicki Minaj, who aren't the greatest lyricists, but are still obviously phoning it in. Like it's true, right?
Yes.
And the reason I picked out some that you might not notice, but both of them reference Pablo Escobar in their verse, and they are on separate songs that have nothing to do with drug trafficking.
Oh God, I didn't even realize that.
And Escobar and Scarface references are hacky nowadays in hip hop.
They were hacky like 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
So they are better than that. So I'm like, what the fuck are you even doing?
I'm not sure
here?
they are better than that.
Yeah, maybe that's the thing. Maybe that's Rick Ross and Nicki Minaj were like, fine, let me go to my Rolodex of Escobar references. All right, boom, we'll do that. And they didn't talk with each other about, did you reference Escobar? Damn.
They already knew. They were like, this is just all I do.
Yeah. I didn't know you referenced him too. Shit. Oh, well, it's already out there. Who cares? So, but people don't want to listen to Fergie for her for mind-conscious rappers. They want to hear that incredible flow and the sultry singing from her voice. So the question is, if the 11-year gap was worth the wait.
It's funny that you say sultry singing and great flow or whatever.
Yeah,
I saw none of that.
So your answer is no. That wasn't worth the wait.
There was very little singing at all, and her flow. It's kind of funny that she had Nicki Minaj guest on this album.
Yeah,
Nicki Minaj is the fucking bane on the face of hip hop. It's just like she's this cancerous tumor that has no redeeming qualities. She's not good at anything that she does
vocally. Just her butt is all.
Well, I mean, you could have that butt too if you really wanted it. And had $10,000 or whatever, however it costs, however much it costs.
Go on.
It's a real. It was shocking to hear her put another person to shame on a song.
Yeah. Amazingly.
What Fergie does is kind of just reheated Nicki Minaj.
Okay, you think she's like, a microwave version of Nicki Minaj when she raps?
Yeah.
All right, I see that. That's a good point. I honestly think when she's like singing like the softer songs is what I wanted to get into first, because
which came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Why are there? You can't have a song like "MILF Money," which, by the way, can we talk about that real quick?
We are going to talk about that. Look, all right, so first, let's go to that first.
You got a song like "MILF Money," and then you have an acoustic ballad immediately afterwards. You have this unadulterated bullshit, and then it sounds like fucking Lisa Loeb the next song. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah. Well, obviously, Drew, it sounded like you didn't hear her first album then. In its entirety.
No, not in her entirety. She did that before too?
Yeah, so the first album, the same thing, like braggadocious rhymes mixed with soft pop songs about relationship woes. And the song that I was going to talk about first is the song Just Like You. It has a very like atmospheric like synth like loop that happens over and over like the basic drum beat. And here Fergie is claiming she's like saying I'm just as damaged as and flawed like my partner, and I lament in my lyrics like she's like I'm crazy just like you, I'm tainted just like you.
It rang completely false.
Yeah,
I feel like she alternates. She has two settings.
Yeah,
broken, terrible, sad person,
right? Yeah,
and fucking I'm the greatest person alive.
Right.
You can't do songs about how terrible it is. First off, hasn't she been incredibly wealthy for like at least 15 years at this point?
That's what she talks about. Yeah.
I don't understand. Like you're like a 1%er, but somehow you have so many problems, guys. She's got so many problems.
But she hasn't. She hasn't found her. She hasn't found the love. That's what she's talking about, And then the song "A Little Work" is what she's referencing her drug past, because she used to be addicted to
crystal meth,
right?
Classy drugs.
Yeah. So the album starts getting like very despondent. I think to the point where I'm like, dude, maybe you should take a Quaalude. Have a Quaalude. Stop being a flatliner.
She's a drug addict.
Or perhaps we need a little more upbeat music, and that's what lead me to like the song that you just mentioned, "MILF Money," which is like a twerking, like a inducing club beat song that I assume celebrates all the sexy, well-financed mothers who've been working all week, and now it's time the weekends come. Now it's time to hoe it up in the club.
But guys, it's not "Mother I'd Like to Fuck." It's "Mother I'd Like to Follow."
yeah, that's true. It's "Follow." Yeah,
because we're gonna put something dirty on the album, but guys, come on, let's keep it classy.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to talk about this real quick.
I thought the song was...
and just a greater issue that I have.
First, I'm going to say before you say it, all I'm going to say is I think the song was brief and pointless, but it served its purpose. What do you got to say about that? That's all I got to say.
That actually summed it up perfectly. The culture of cool moms, I'm sick of it.
Really? Yeah.
I'm over it. You know what? I'm sitting across the table from a father. I understand the drive to want to propagate your species and have creatures that look like you living in your house, and they're really cute, and all this shit. Yeah. I understand it. Make peace with that if you're going to have kids. You're not cool anymore.
Wow.
I'm sorry, but you're not. And listen, I'm not that cool either. That's part of growing up.
Yeah.
You just get less cool as time goes on, and then when you have a kid, that accelerates the process.
Yeah.
And you can still be cool, but talking about how fucking cool you are because you, in spite of you having kids, makes you less cool.
Yeah.
This song, that Bad Moms movie, just people I know in my regular life, where you go on social media and it's, oh, well, I have a kid, but I can party. I'm fun. Like I'm not like other moms. If you say you're not like other moms, you are more so like other moms.
Okay.
Because you don't accept the fact that you're like other moms. Just by virtue of you having children, you are like other parents. I'm sorry. Stop it. Stop this culture of the cool mom. You're not cool, all right? You had kids, and that's fine, but come to terms with it, because clearly it bothers you.
Yes, that should be the song that they wrote instead of getting in a big bathtub of milk and singing about how, how
fucking
sexy I am.
atrocious.
I agree.
Pointless.
Yeah, it's just like, all right, what's the point of this song, and it's over. And it's like, well, I can shake my ass a little bit, and then it's done. But so if you guys might recall, Fergie's first album had like the acoustic pop ballad song "Big Girls Don't Cry," which I know you heard, Drew, and when you've been walking at like Target or something like that, it's been playing in the.
It's called "Big Girls Don't Cry."
Yeah. And she says like,
wasn't it a song from the 70s or something, or 60s?
It's also a movie from the 80s, but yeah. So this album has.
I can't tell if you're fucking with me right now. Howard.
It is. That song, is very similar to the song on this album called "Save It Till Morning." It's got the same tempo and the same sappiness as the other song, so it's good to see Fergie is still keeping with her roots, i.e., not progressing musically whatsoever.
Yes.
So. Fergie may be able to belt out a high note here and there, but she is better at making shallow dance songs with silly yet corny rhymes like "Come get some, you little bum. Dude wants cake, but they cannot get a crumb." Like, that's what she should stick to. Now, you're saying when she rhymes, it's worse than when she sings, or do you think it's on par?
It's tough to say. Because her rhymes are terrible, and her delivery is not very good. When she sings, her singing is all right.
Right, it's all right. Yeah, it's all right.
But it's not memorable at all. Which do you like? Kind of generic, boring singing that's at least competent, or rapping that is both pointless and
at least you
not
remember
delivered well, but memorable in the sense that it's awful.
Yeah. Right. Sometimes you want a reaction from people. So I think if she did a whole like rap album, I would prefer that more.
And let me bring something up here. Mm-hmm. Now that we're talking about the this acoustic song and all, and mm-hmm. the softer songs in the album.
Yeah.
Is there like a war on drummers? Did she fire the first shot in that war? Because so it starts out with an acoustic guitar.
Yeah.
And then the drums come in, and they are like the fakest sounding, like
programmed. Yeah.
Why? You couldn't hire a drum? Questlove probably was too good to be on this album.
Jimmy Fallon's calling me. I can't be doing that.
I mean, there's got to be a drummer. You had to have found a drummer. It takes so much away from a song that's already kind of bad.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, but at the same time, the drummer would be every drummer would be wasting their time on this. So, the dance tracks is where I think the album is when they do the dance songs, they are very, very, very decent.
Actually, I disagree with you.
No.
Are we talking about
that
song?
Too many berries?
Are we talking about that song Tension?
I love Tension, dude.
Why do you love it? Tell me. And I'm gonna blow your mind in a second.
I think what's great about that song is the bass lines alone will have people instantly grinding on the dance floor.
Sure.
It's got a little bit of a Daft Punk sound to it.
Definitely. I don't disagree with that.
Dance funk track, the lyrics about, it's true. People on the dance floor are just getting horny on, and then after the song ends, the middle of the song or towards the end, he's like, I'm going to take you home and fuck you. It's like, yeah, that's basically how it works.
Definitely.
That's why I think that's the best song in this whole album.
I don't agree. I don't disagree with any of that.
Okay. However,
it sounds exactly like the theme to Men in Black.
Oh, the Will Smith song?
Yeah.
I didn't notice that.
Here comes the Men in Black.
We got some tension. Is that how it goes? I don't know.
Yeah.
I had to listen to it again.
It's almost identical. I didn't get a chance to actually sit down and play them side by side.
We will do that after this show's over.
But the hook on it sounds almost identical.
Okay. I didn't notice that. I mean, like it.
Even the song that is very, 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 very decent.
Yeah.
It sounds exactly like a song that was from 20 years ago that sounded kind of dated and it was just all right.
Yeah. All the songs on here sound dated. Like the song that has the raw bass sample in it called You Already Know. Pretty good job, but it's like, you're just, the sampling. But everything is like old school rap when she does that. And I thought it was all right, too. It's just
speaking of sampling.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if this is the song that you're talking. No, it's not the song you're talking about.
All right, go ahead.
But how did you feel about Love Is Blind?
That's when that closed the album. There's 2 songs with the same title. One's called "Love Is Blind," which is like this bullshit reggae song where she's like trying to do this reggae accent.
She does a fake Jamaican accent. She does vocal blackface on this album.
Yes, that's true.
It's just some bullshit, like, I'm sure sampled dub.
Yeah.
And like a reggae guitar.
Yeah.
And a fake Jamaican accent. It was so, I was getting chills at how awful this is. And I'm embarrassed for her.
Yeah. Yeah, she's actually like, she's like trying to sing and then do the reggae thing and say like the inflections on certain words like you would say in that.
It's like fingernails on a chalkboard.
Yeah. That I thought that was awful. And then when they do the song after that, the last song called Love Is Pain, when she's like doing that I'm like, is she gonna keep doing that? Like, is she really gonna keep doing that?
Which, by the way, other than that hilarious part, it's a prom song. It's a shitty prom song.
It's more like kind of like a blues rock song, but like it's a prom song. It's kind of like I don't want to keep using the word generic, but it's like that ballady like rock song which pain is love and love is pain.
Yeah,
pain,
and by the way,
pain.
when you talk about we bring up the guitar, there's just like a random shredding like guitar solo,
yeah,
with tons of reverb at the end. Like, what is this, 1994? An R&B song that's going to be played at proms across the country, I'm sure, with a guitar solo at the end.
Yeah,
Come on, you're stealing reggae from the 70s. You're stealing R&B songs from the early 90s. You're stealing Will Smith songs from the late 90s. Is there nothing you won't steal?
There's nothing sacred, Fergie. Come on, I don't know, but it's just
you're stealing Nicki Minaj's shit and Rick Ross's shit, and then telling them, "Hey, I wrote some shit that sounds exactly like some bullshit you do. Come do a verse on my song."
Okay, Pablo Escobar, check.
That one song, "L.A. Love," was all right.
L.A. Love was that's actually a song from like 2 years ago that they finally put out.
It was just fine.
Yeah.
I think that was the only song that was I didn't hate and I didn't even like it.
I got nothing more to say about this album. You want to give your rating?
Let's wrap it up.
Okay, go ahead.
You go first.
All right, fine. So though this album is about as deep as a puddle, it's not the worst thing I've heard.
Jesus Christ.
So I've been doing this a long time. It's not the worst thing I've heard.
What is the worst thing you've heard?
I can't think of it right now, but I think the songs there's forgettable dance tracks. They had a nice beat. But let's be honest, Fergie is mostly eye candy. Like, we know it, the Black Eyed Peas know it, and even she knows it.
And I don't even know if she's much eye candy, to be honest.
Her music isn't that bad, but it's not that good either. Its purpose is to listen to and maybe sing along for a few months, then sell the CD back to this record store. That's it. Or in this case, only listen to it if you have no other options. So I'm going to give this album a skip this. It's not worth your time.
This is the newest album from the person who is the living embodiment of hip-hop going pop.
Mm-hmm.
And
which is going to keep happening over
I guess that's pretty much all that can be said about it. But even then, it's not good. It's just a bad album. It sounds like if the reality shows took human form and then made an album. It's lowest common denominator. There's and just not even good at appealing to lowest common denominator. It's utterly forgettable. It's uninteresting. The hooks all fall flat. There's 2 songs on here that I find even remotely catchy, and the rest are terrible. It's the kind of album that I would expect to listen to when shopping for overpriced clothes at the mall, and that's about the only reason. If you are the CEO of H&M, this album is up your alley.
Okay,
that's about it.
Okay.
I'm going to give this album a fuck that.
Wow. You definitely should really keep those in the chamber because you're going to hear something worse than that keeping on this show. I'm telling you that right now.
Oh, I can't wait.
Okay.
I want something to one up this album. And let me just throw something else out real quick. Mm-hmm. So we reviewed that new Kesha album, right?
Yeah.
I think that I don't know. I think we should have reviewed this one first, because that one I went in with a bad mood. I was prepared to give it the lowest possible, and I was like, all right, this isn't good, but it's fine. It's whatever.
Yeah.
This album is aggressively
That
bad.
gave you a hope. You're like,
yeah,
Fergie might
it
be
gave
bad.
me hope for pop music. And here's the thing about music in general. People will tell you that music is subjective, and to a certain extent that is true, but music is also objective, in my opinion. The difference between good music and bad music is authenticity. It's putting emotion and feeling into the music, and being like putting yourself into the music, and having a certain amount of authenticity to it.
Yeah.
And I think these two albums really show what is good music versus bad music. Because I would never listen to either of these albums if I wasn't on this show.
Yeah.
The Kesha album, I didn't really care for. I'm 99% positive that I'll never listen to that album again. I wouldn't call it bad, though.
I'm sure it'll be playing at your wedding, I bet.
Especially. Well, no, the Fergie album is going to be playing. That last song is going to be playing at my wedding. It's going to be the one that everybody dance. Yeah.
Yes.
But the Fergie album is objectively bad. This is a marketing thing. This is a marketing strategy. She didn't put any of herself in this. I don't know if she has any of herself to put in it. She seems pretty vacuous and pointless as a person in general.
Yeah.
And the music is exactly that. This is scientifically proven to sell records and to end up on Spotify playlists, and that's it. Whereas Kesha is not what I would consider good personally, subjectively, but it is good objectively because it serves a purpose. It has reason to exist.
Yeah.
Where this Fergie album, the only reason to exist is to sell itself.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's going to be plenty of drunk people in clubs all across this country that hear a couple of these Fergie songs, and they're like, "Oh shit, that's my jam!"
Yeah.
But they're wasted on the dance floor. How many of them are going to be pumping this in their car? How many of these people are going to be listening to this 5 years down the line, let alone 10 or 15 years?
Or months, that's
or
my
months.
point. Yeah, that's what it's going to be. This album is definitely a disposable record.
It's a bad record.
Unfortunately, honestly, you have not heard the latest album from Simple Plan. That was my last, the one of the album I can think of that I gave a fuck this to, off the top of my head, and that was last year. So I keep my fuck
that was worse than
wait,
Simple Plan put out an album last year?
Yeah,
wow,
that's worse than this. So I keep my fuck this is in the chamber because I save it for like the bottom of the barrel shit. I don't just throw them out everywhere.
I know this is only like my fourth show.
You'll learn.
You know what? I think the fact that I gave that Kesha album not a fuck this. I think I'm gonna be okay.
Okay.
It just came early.
Yeah.
It came early because you gave me this piece of shit to review.
Yeah. All right. So that makes 2 down. And this last album I'm gonna review, I guess I'll do myself, and you'll decide if you want to. Drew, and
because honestly, and I'm just going to be upfront with this, I fully intended to review this album. That Fergie album took everything out of me. I seriously had to turn it off at times because it was just making me mad. It was bumming me out, and I had to listen to a palate cleanser for a couple of days.
I think that's really what I give fuck this is too. If I get mad listening to it, and that's honestly what. You did the right
I couldn't
thing.
listen to more than 3 songs in a row off of that Fergie album. So I just didn't have the time to get to this next album.
Yeah, that's fair then. I understand. So this last album I'm going to review for you guys is the new Foo Fighters, Concrete and Gold. Now, you guys, Foo Fighters deserve they don't need much of an introduction. Dave Grohl, you guys know. You got to go take a leak again? Yeah, your bladder is so tiny. I guess I got to wait for you, dude. No, keep going. Okay, I'll keep going. So, yeah, so we're going to do the new album right now, and Drew's going to take a little piss right now. The reason I'm delaying is because I don't want him to miss this as well, because I don't know. I'm going to give a little, a clue to this, that this is actually an album that you don't want to miss. Whether it's good or bad is a question that you guys are going to have to find out. Before I talk, let me just say this show, again, is sponsored by Budweiser America, fuck yeah. And I'm going to take a little swig of this. And I'm glad you guys are sitting there so quietly and patiently as I stall. You guys want to give me a little applause? All right, thank you. So here we go. Talk about the new Foo Fighters. New Foo Fighters album called Concrete and Gold. You know, I think the band doesn't need much of an introduction. Everyone knows Dave Grohl as the guest drummer for the Queens of the Stone Age album. People know him for that. Also, you know, he played the guy Satan in the Tenacious D movie. But what you guys might not know is Dave Grohl was actually the drummer for a little unknown band named Nirvana in the early 90s. And that band was doing...
What's the name band?
Nirvana. He used to play drums
Nirvana?
Nirvana.
Nirvana.
So he used to play drums for that band in the 90s. And right when the band was seeing a little bit of success, the lead singer, Kurt Cobain, decided he wanted to not only quit the band, but also quit living.
He quit the band in the most dramatic way possible.
Yeah, and by putting a shotgun in his mouth and pulling the trigger in April of that year.
Or
did he?
Maybe Courtney Love did.
Yes. So Foo Fighters came about after that band ended, and Dave Grohl went on, and now here we are, 9 albums in. And it's been about 3 years since the band released their album Sonic Highways, and that album was accompanied by the HBO miniseries, which showed the band recording all 8 songs in different states. Now that album was similar to their 5th album, In Your Honor, which was a double album, and I felt what made them similar is I felt the mediocrity of the songs overshadowed the intended gimmick of the whole thing. Like, I mean, besides like the songs that was recorded in the song that was recorded in New Orleans, I really couldn't tell a song was recorded in Austin or New York City. It's not like those places have one distinct sound, so that was why that album fell flat for me. Actually, the last Foo Fighters record I enjoyed was 2011's Wasted Light, which was not only produced by Butch Vig and had a heavier, raw analog sound, but it also earned the group 4 Grammy Awards. So for this latest album, I cannot honestly say I was really anticipating listening to it. And after the second track called Run, my doubts slowly began to fade slowly. Like, that song's got a soft piano plucking intro that leads to like a blasting grunge rock instrumentation. It's pretty cool. And like the singer, vocals are switched from like soothing to like that hardcore screaming that he does uniquely. I thought it was pretty cool, and it's just the chorus is repeated way too many times, very similar to that song "Best of You." Remember that song, Drew, from like 2005? They're getting the best of you.
Yes, I forgot about that song.
This song is like, you said that chorus enough. End the track already. So
the song was way too long. I listened to a couple of these songs, and that one I really liked the chorus.
You liked Run?
I came around to it. Because Foo Fighters to me is like the ultimate dad rock band, where it's like, speaking of culture of cool moms, the culture of cool dads is Foo Fighters, where it's like, oh, we're going to the rock concert.
So it's not like, it's not Steely Dan, it's Foo Fighters. Okay,
kind of, yeah. That's the new millennium dad rock band.
Okay,
but that album kind of surprised me.
Yeah,
or that song rather kind of surprised me, but it was way too long. It just kept going.
Yeah, I agree, but. Real talk, I'm gonna say, anyone who thinks this album is most likely the Foo Fighters on autopilot, trust me, it's all uphill after the second song from there. The boogie rock tune "Make It Right" has incredible like harmonies coming from the backing vocals, while the track "The Sky Is a Neighborhood" continues to heavenly like vocals with the repetitive like chorus that actually doesn't wear itself out like Run. I really love "The Sky Is a Neighborhood." Like, it's a slower, like, space rock tune, and with descending lead guitars, beautifully mixed in. You heard that song, right? That's the 4th track. I'm like, this is where the album is really peaking for me. The Foo Fighters have had 3 guitarists since the Wasted Light album came out, and they do a great job layering and blending them over like different rhyme parts without it sounding like too jumbled or jarring. Example again, the song Groove Rock. The Groove Rock song has like the breakdowns on the track La Di Da. It's a perfect example of what I'm talking about. And apparently, when writing this record, Dave Grohl wanted the song to be heavy but have a pop element to them. And not only does this album come off both aggressive and catchy, but the songs have a very 70s-esque like vibe to it. Like the song "Happy Ever After" is like a sunny acoustic guitar-driven song that sounds like it belongs on the AM radio between like Crosby, Still and Nash and James Taylor. However, the lyrics are very negative, as we hear Dave claim there is no superheroes now. So this album is like talking about a lot of like political things and like, you know, social events. But that particular song I thought was really cool because I love when a song sounds happy, but when you read the lyrics, it's very dark, like, you know, stuff you hear from The Cure or something like that. Sunny Sunday Rain has like a funky mellow blues riff mixed with like some like psychedelic vocals. Sounds kind of like something you hear from Lenny Kravitz, who also is very influenced by the 70s rock. And also, continuing on the classic rock trend, the album opens with like a track called T-Shirt, like breaks into like the rock opera, like, you know, crescendo after the soft acoustic guitar intro. And then the title track, which ends the album, I think, is got like kind of like a Dark Side of the Moon vibe with Dave like singing softly with some vocal effects mixed with like the spacey keyboards. You heard the first song, right? T-Shirt, where you kind of like, this is, what the fuck's he doing?
I didn't understand what it was.
But it's more of like an intro because it's like less than 2 minutes long. But when I heard the whole album, I'm like thinking to myself, all right, you start off with like that kind of song and you end with like this like Pink Floyd kind of song. It's like I think there's some kind of point to it, but I haven't got it yet. Arrows is in between, and it's got the traditional Foo Fighters hard rock breakdown during the chorus, where a drummer like Taylor Hawkins really like shines as he's pounding away on the snares. That's what I don't like about Foo Fighters, when they sound like generic Foo Fighters songs. So that particular song, the breakdown, what happens, you know it's coming, because you know when Foo Fighters songs, you can smell it from a mile away. I'm really impressed with this record, and the only thing I gotta complain about, a couple tracks sound like standard Foo Fighters, and the guest artists like Justin Timberlake, Boyz II Men, and Paul McCartney are way underused in this record to the point where you don't even know it's them until you like read the liner notes at the end. But
when you're Dave Grohl, you can get pretty much anybody to do anything.
Exactly. You want. Yeah, it's not like completely up his ass like Sonic Highways was. This album isn't as good or as important to like the rejuvenation of rock music like Wasted Light was, but it does an amazing job of walking the line of pop rock and hard rock. So there is definitely something on here for everyone. Drew, I guess you like some of what you heard, but I'm gonna say you need to fucking listen to this whole album. It's really good. So I'm gonna say you should buy this record, you guys. The Foo Fighters are back, and they're not better than ever, but they are on par with where they need to be, being that they've been a band for over 20 years. So let us know what you think in the comments section if you heard a new Foo Fighters album, what you think, if you liked it or hated it, and give us your rating as well. And Drew, I hope you hear this album at some point and give me your opinion of it too.
I will. Yeah. And I would also like people in the comments to
kiss my ass.
Give their opinion of how the world will end. Will it be from nuclear war between us and North Korea, or will it be from the new Fergie album?
You were hung up on that record, man.
It killed me. It ruined my week.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man. There's a lot worse things that happen to people than listening to the Fergie record, so think about that as you go to sleep at night.
I'm not sure there was.
They're better off dead in some cases. So, with that said, Tom Petty, like we're saying, you went out before hearing the Fergie record, so I guess Drew was saying you're lucky there.
Tom Petty's a real winner.
Yes. And, yeah, so I think that ends the show. I thank you guys for listening, you guys. And surprisingly, we still kept it under 2 hours, which I thought was going to be a longer show, but I think the next show is going to be fucking long because, like I told everyone, we
got all sorts of fun.
We're ranking stuff. It's going to be a horrific show, man. Good or bad, we don't know.
A little of both, maybe.
All right, so let me say thanks for listening, you guys, and thanks for everything out there. Let's give you guys the outro and stuff. Unless Drew, you have anything more you want to say?
I'm good.
Again, thank you very much for coming. I really appreciate you being the co-host, and you're doing an impeccable job of these reviews.
Well, thank you.
And also with the banter we have, I think we got a good chemistry. You know, we should make out.
Let us know in the comments below. Maybe we suck. I don't know.
Yeah. All right. So here's how you can get in touch with us. Here we go. You go to our website, njhabbitradio.net, and you can see all our stuff right there. Also, you can email us at our Gmail, which is njhabbitradio@gmail.com. Also, you can go to our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/njhabbitradio, and make sure when you find our Facebook page, you like us. That way you can get all the updates of what's going on. Search Hybrid Radio on YouTube, and when you find us, make sure you hit that subscribe button. That way you can get all the updated stuff. It's the same thing you do on the Facebook. And finally, we're on Twitter. If you type in, actually just follow us on Twitter at Hybrid Radio. Until next time, this has been Jarrell and Drew.
This is Drew
saying goodbye and have a pleasant week. Well, too, but yeah. Do you only want to do one of most? End of November?